Welcome back to the channel, guys. So this is part 3 for total cost of ownership, mining strategy 2026. So in part 1, as you can probably recall, we looked at using these 3 tables here. So miners, prices, Bitaxe, miners under 100 terahash, excuse me, and miners over 100 terahash. So we looked at Bitaxes from here. We looked at these so-called space heaters here. And we also looked at, if you will recall, the so-called big boy miners over 100 terahash a second. We assessed their rankings and rated them by hash rate, efficiency, cost, and cost per terahash. We came out with a total ranking here. We calculated daily earnings, daily electricity costs, daily profit, and your break-even price, and your payback period in years as well. We also used the user heater modeling tool here, where we inputted our selected miner, also our electricity rate per kilowatt hour, either in dollars, euros, or pounds. We also learned how to input the amount of hours, so to calculate your annual uptime, and then generate figures accordingly so you could assess personally how much you could possibly pay per year for any selected miner on the list as part of self-hosting. Now, in part 2, we then compared that. We compared and contrasted against, as you can see here, Compass Mining third-party hosting. And that was based on hosting an Antminer S21 XP for a minimum time period of 36 months or 3 years. And we also looked at the costing, again, which we clearly broke down in the parameters table here. And we also looked at how that would play out in these tables here. Try and calculate your profitability and also your return on investment targets and your cumulative return on investment as well. Okay, so that was part 1 and part 2. Now, in part 3 today, we're going to put both of these together, both these previous episodes together, to try and come up with some kind of mining strategy for 2026, given the current macro climate with the price where it is, as you can see here, nearly 50% down from the all-time high in early October of 124,000. So on the face of it, if we were to take that at face value, you might assume, and you could be right in thinking so, that Bitcoin mining, it's not a great time to be involved in Bitcoin mining, or is it? And it all depends on the angle you approach this from, as you're going to see as this episode unfolds, guys. Okay, so if we just bring back these kind of space heaters that we looked at earlier, and what, in terms of your approach to Bitcoin mining, you should approach it like a flowchart. So, for example, your primary criteria for assessing where you should go with your Bitcoin mining strategy, no matter what the year, is going to be your electricity price. So first off, you want to assess what is your residential electricity rate. Is it below 7.5 cents per kilowatt hour? If it's below 7.5 cents per kilowatt hour, you could mine from home, whether it's on a small open source miner or a space heater, or if you then have the space and you can manage the heat and the noise, and you have the funds to pay the electricity rate per year, you could then focus on one of these so-called big boy miners like the S19 XP Hydro. Now, let's take it back a step. So if you haven't got access to an electricity rate equal or lower to 7.5 cents per kilowatt hour, you are therefore limited in terms of mining at home. So at that point, you would either want to be running a Bitaxe or a cluster of Bitaxes, as in a little Bitaxe farm, or a space heater. Now, in terms of returns from these, they're going to be extremely, extremely small. So If you're using some kind of Bitaxe, then really you want to be using that for solo mining to try and hit a block and get that block reward of 3.125 BTC plus fees. And a space heater could simply add to that and complement that, especially if you're mining from your own private Bitcoin node, like we've covered in a previous episode. You could set up your own private instance of public pool if you're running Umbral, and you could form a little farm. So you could have Bitaxe or a cluster of them, and maybe, and sorry, let's step back a bit. So those Bitaxes would be on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And then when you want to heat your home, you could take advantage of the versatility and that dual function that these so-called space heaters offer. And you could put them on for a limited amount of time per day, per season, per year. And as we could see here, you'd end up paying, if you had an Avalon Mini 3, so again, that's a 41 terahash a second capable unit with an uptime of around 1,810 hours per year. So that's effectively nearly 21% of the year, or nearly 5 days for every day of the year. You would pay $339 per year to run that. If you're mining from your own Bitcoin node, doing solo mining, you've got maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe even 5 Bitaxes up permanently all the time, 24/7. You could then add something like this, get that dual functionality, heat your home, reduce your heating bill, and then in return, boost your actual solo mining odds by temporarily increasing your hash rate. So, hope that bit is really clear. Again, think of it like a flowchart, with the determining factor being your electricity rate. If you have got access to below or equal to 7.5 cents per kilowatt hour, happy days. Every door is open to you. The only constraints would be space in your home and managing the heat and noise. And then obviously, could you pay the electric bill for those miners? If you can, fantastic. You've got the choice of pretty much anything you can imagine or get your hands on. And then obviously, if you can use these tools to basically analyze and model, project, and formulate your return on investment. Again, all of this is available for just $15 a month, guys, from Patreon with ourselves. And then on the flip side, if you haven't got access, to that electricity rate, you would then go down the other route. You could use those Bitaxes, and you could have them on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year there. So to have 10.5 terahash on all day, every day, 100% of the year, 24 hours a day, it would cost you $317. Solo mining from your own node. And then again, as we covered, temporarily boost that, maybe with an Avalon Mini 3. Again, heat your home, temporarily increase your solo mining odds of hitting that Bitcoin block from your own node, guys. That would be my recommendation as a mining strategy for 2026. Now, contrasting that with hosting mining, I think at the moment, given where the Bitcoin price is, it would take a brave person to heavily invest in hosted mining. Given that if you do that, as it says here, you're locked in for 3 years, 36 months. Okay, so you'd be at the mercy of either a Bitcoin price or a hash rate spike or dip, which, as we saw in part 2 in the previous episode, can affect your mining returns either way and can be extremely volatile. If you're not able to absorb that volatility, then hosted mining, maybe at the moment, could you say, steer clear of it? Potentially. Okay, it all determines the capital you have to invest. Okay, and how much, to what degree you're happy at exposing yourself to, let's be honest, quite a fairly high level of risk, right? Given that you have zero control over when these miners are on, that you can't take them offline, and for how long they're on, etc., etc. Now, if we go back to running like the Bitaxes, so the pros you've got here, which should be fairly obvious, right? But you can get multiple units to make a mini mining farm, and you're still going to be running essentially, peanuts per year, right? So let's just change these back to 24 hours again. So even if you got 2 of these, 100% uptime, 24 hours every day, you're still only paying around $632 a month to have that lottery ticket every 10 minutes, every day of the year, which, if you think about what you're trying to achieve, is pretty good value for money. So again, the Bitaxes, they'll operate with almost no heat or noise, guys. You've got to take that into consideration as well. Multiple units make up a mini mining farm. They're small in size, you can scale quickly, you're only limited by space. Now, space heaters. Yes, great option to be versatile, get that dual functionality to heat your home, etc., etc. But what you have to be mindful of is you can't scale infinitely with these like you might be able to with the Bitaxes, right? You can only heat your home so much and for so long at the end of the day. Okay, so maybe, again, it depends how big your house is. But for example, if you lived in a small semi-detached house, you got 2 or 3 bedrooms, a living room downstairs, a kitchen, maybe a downstairs bathroom, you may only need, for example, 2 bit chimneys, okay, or 1 mini 3 and another bit chimney, because 800 watts, maybe 900 watts, 750, that's quite a substantial amount of power that will heat your home pretty well for a sustained period of time. So again, with the space heaters, yes, they're great, but you can't scale infinitely, so bear that in mind. Okay, now in terms of looking at Bitcoin mining and deciding, is this something that you personally want to get involved in? Now, given where the Bitcoin price currently is at, and obviously the hash rate, there's a lot of discussion at the moment of, is it a good time to get into mining? And I think to help you make your decision on that, it all depends on what angle you approach this from. Now, is it a great time to be involved in third-party hosted mining, where, as we went through in the previous episode, you'd sign up with a hosting provider, they would give you a guaranteed electricity rate for a minimum term contract and a certain fee that you would put down. Right, at the moment, maybe it's not the best idea to do that until conditions improve. Now, mining at home, when we looked at, again, in a previous episode with so-called space heaters, is that a good idea? It all depends on your electricity rate and what you're looking to achieve with those. Potentially, yeah, for sure, it might be a good time to do that. And then we can approach it from another angle. Is it a good time to be involved with Bitcoin mining with the aim of solo mining? Maybe you have just a single Bitaxe, multiple, or even a little mini Bitaxe or Nerdaxe mining farm, and you're trying to hit that block reward of 3.125 BTC plus fees every 10 minutes, right? Is it a good time to get involved in that? 100% yes, it is, absolutely. And the screen you're looking at the moment, guys, with the data we're going to go through, I'll show you exactly why. Okay, so if we look at this column here, this gives us the dates for 60 days between December the 7th and February the 8th, 2026, right? It was actually 64 days, so 2 months, okay? Now, we've also got the hash rate. We've got the difficulty rating change. We've got difficulty percent change, okay? And we've also got these columns here, which show you how, what it would have been in terms of days to hit a block, or expected years to hit a block, and your odds improvement as difficulty and hash rating change. Okay, and this is all based on having a 10 terahash rig, so maybe something like the Nerd Octa-Axe. So your very simple, low-cost miner, no more than $300, $400 to purchase. Okay, so certainly within the grasp of most people, I would have thought. So that's what we're basing all this data on, right? So if we just look at the hash rate here, so you can just see how that has continually fallen as we've gone through December, through January, and into February. So the green bars here in the deepest green reflect the lowest values, and the deep oranges and reds reflect the highest values. And we're going to see this in a couple of these charts in a second. Okay, so essentially the hash rate has been falling and falling and falling since maybe November last year, and certainly since this data started. And you can see this reflected strongly and accurately here, guys. As the hash rate has fallen, so has the difficulty. Now, you can see this quite consistently, okay? As we go down, 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 and a massive decrease in the difficulty for the latest difficulty epoch on the 8th of February. Okay, so we've got falling hash rate and we've got falling difficulty rating. And if you know anything about Bitcoin mining, if you put those two together in terms of your odds of being able to hit a Bitcoin block, you've got a massively improved chance. So it's a great time to get into this, okay? And we're going to break these numbers down even further, right? So if we have a look at the expected days to mine a Bitcoin block with a 10 terahash unit, we're looking at 707,000 days to begin with back in December. And based on the falling hash rate and the falling difficulty rating, you're going to see this come down, guys, here. Look at this. So it goes to 701,000 days, 702, but a little bit back up, right? 693, 670. But look at this, that massive jump there where we've had that great reduction in the difficulty rating. Okay, and then in terms of expected years on a 10 terahash rated rig, you've gone from 1,937 years, obviously quite a lot, right down to 1,633 years. Obviously, clearly, no human is going to live that length of time, but it's just to point out clearly a massive reduction in the amount of years to mine a block on a 10 terahash rated rig. Okay, so still massively low odds, okay, but at the end of the day, they've also come down a lot. And considering it could have been the opposite, if we'd had a rising hash rate and a rising difficulty, which obviously at times you do, then this expected years to mine block would have gone in the opposite direction, okay, so it would have gone up. And then finally, just to prove the point, if we have a look at this column here, so these are your percentage chances of your odds percentage chance improvement of hitting a block as the hash rate fell and as the difficulty rating fell. Okay, so you can see not much change here at all, right? But by the time the cumulative effect, of these changes, by the time we get to 60 days later on the 8th of February, you've got an improvement, 18.5% odds chance improvement of hitting a Bitcoin block, guys. That is massive. And again, to prove the point, it could have gone in the other direction. So you could have had a reduction in those odds if you'd had a rising hash rate and a rising difficulty. So again, if you are just getting into the space for the first time, or you're experienced and you have a little small fleet of open source miners at home, whether it's the Nerdaxes or the Bitaxes, whatever it is, you're in a really good spot in terms of your odds. Yes, it is still incredibly low. The probability of you hitting a block is incredibly low. That doesn't mean it can't be done, and it has been done, and your odds of getting that done has improved vastly over the past 60 days. Now, the next difficulty epoch is going to be, I think, in 1 to 2 days' time. At the date of recording, this is the 18th of February. It looks like the difficulty rating is going to increase. So this kind of small burst of rapid consecutive difficulty reductions might be over, but it's just to prove the point. If you can time it right and you're approaching it from the right angle, there's always opportunity in Bitcoin mining. You just have to approach it from the right angle. And to finish off with, if we look at these charts, this is just going to visually hammer home the points we've already covered, right? So in blue, we've got the hash rate in exahash. You can see that daily changing there. However, if we consider the 7-day trend line, clearly the trend line is to the downside. If you were to draw a straight line, it would probably be something like that. Okay, going down. And then if we look at the difficulty, so again, apart from a very, very, very almost negligible rise here, because it went from 148.195 trillion to 148.258 trillion, very, very, very small. So if we hadn't have had that, we would have had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 consecutive difficulty changes, which is very unusual. Okay, so as it stands right now, we had 1, 2, 3 consecutive difficulty changes. Like I said, the next one is in a couple of days' time. It looks like that's going to be going back up again. So just to prove the point, difficulty and hash rate have steadily been coming down over the last couple of months. And if we look at chart 2, so this is your expected time to mine a solo block on the 10 terahash rated rig. So again, we can see those years coming down with a reduction in hash rate and difficulty and a massive reduction there. And then finally, chart 3, so still in the green, you got your expected years to mine a block coming down. And I've overlaid on top your percentage chance in odds improvement of mining that block. So you can just visually see how this data here is improving all the time with that difficulty reduction. Okay, so difficulty rating comes down, your chances of mining a solo block have gone up massively. So I hope that that data really helps, guys. It gives you a nice visual walkthrough of just why at the moment it is a great time to be getting into Bitcoin mining from, you know, it's important we know the angle of solo Bitcoin mining. Okay, so I hope that really helped. And then what we're going to do is just to close this episode out, we're going to move on now to this table here, guys, this miner comparison. So we know already from previous episodes, again, we've looked at the Bitaxe table, we've looked at miners under 100 terahash here, and we've looked at miners over 100 terahash. So we can have a quick scan over these again, excuse me. And then the one over 100 terahash. And as you'll see, and as we did see on the last episode, they've got the ranking by cost, efficiency, terahash a second, and total rank here. Daily earnings, electricity cost, daily profit, break-even electricity price. And then you've also got the color gradients for hash rate, cost per terahash, and a conditional formatting for the efficiency as well, right? So hopefully you find this really helpful to use. Now, finally, this is the last bit we come on to close this episode out. So what is this? I hope you can even tell just by looking at it, right? So it's a miner comparison table. Now, if we just delete all the values here, you'll see everything disappear, right, guys? Now, you're going to hit to use this, the drop down, and it's going to bring up every miner from all of these 3 sheets. Now, again, we'll update this continually. There's nothing that you would have to do, guys, to manually update this yourselves except hit refresh. And by hitting refresh maybe once a day, you'll always know you have the latest miner details to hand. Okay, so again, this sheet and table is going to compile this here from Bitaxe, all of the miners from under 100 terahash and all of the miners from over 100 terahash, and you can compare side by side on one screen in front of you at the same time any miner you want to do. So let's just put that into practice now. So we'll choose the Nerd Octax Ultra. Fantastic. And you'll see as well, it brings through the color scales, which is great. So we've chosen one from the Bitaxe category. Next, we'll choose one from miners under 100 terahash. So let's just go for the Avalon Mini 3. And then finally, we'll pick, let's go for the S21E Hydro. Okay. Now, as you can see, you've got the reseller name there. We will be filling all these in, so don't worry, that says NA. You've got the chip type, the hash rate power as well, power in watts. So, you know, you can clearly see what a monster that is in comparison to these here, which is tiny, tiny usage. This kind of makes a bit of more level ground for all of the miners you're looking at. Efficiency, right? No miner can hide from that. By dividing the power watts by the hash rate, you'll get this efficiency. So you can see there, even the Nerd Octax is a little bit more efficient than the monster that is the S21E Hydro. And then you've got the cost in euros, pounds, and dollars. You've got the cost per terahash in euros, pounds, and dollars, with dollars highlighted for the gradient map there. You've got, now the rankings, these are brought through from the previous sheets, okay? This isn't a ranking comparing them, so just bear that in mind. And then you've still got the total score and the total rank. And then if we move on from rankings, you've then got daily earnings, daily electricity cost, daily profit, break-even electricity price, payback period in years, right? So this is super, super handy. And we've frozen the column here, so it doesn't matter how far you scroll across, you'll always be able to see the name of the miner, so you can quickly reference back what miner are you actually looking at for those particular sell values, right? So I hope this one was really helpful. If you do subscribe to Patreon, again, it's available from the Mining Metrics Workbook. You can download that from the Patreon page. It's just $15 a month, guys. It goes along with all the other sheets and charts that we've looked at in previous episode. All these queries, you get access to those as well. Okay, so we're going to close out this episode here. Really hope you enjoyed that episode, guys. If you've got any questions or suggestions, leave them in the comments below or hit me up on X. I'm always on there. Thanks for watching. Until the next episode, stay ahead, stay decentralized. Bye for now. Okay, guys, so just a short segment now to round off this video really briefly, and we're going to look at Founding 50. So, what's that? Now, if you're lucky enough to be watching this video before the 30th of April 2026, there's still time to get in, guys, okay? The first 50 Patreon subscribers will receive exclusive benefits that no other Patreon member will receive access to. Remember, the Kerner Bitcoin Patreon model is capped at 1,000 spaces. So if you are lucky enough to be one of the first to sign up, no one else will ever have this apart from the first 50 patrons. Now we've got a clear list here, guys. It's a phenomenal value proposition. You don't even have to go on to one of the higher tiers. You can start at Alchemist at $15 and then work your way up from there if you want to. Now, the jewel in the crown of the benefits, guys, is our private sovereign solo mining pool. Now, it's going to be 0% fees. Okay, full block reward shared, It is true decentralized solo mining. This is decentralized as you can get, pretty much. Now, we're going to have our own mining backend that handles this. Your credentials will be tier gated through Patreon. That's what you'll use to connect to the mining pool. So it means only 50 people can ever connect to this solo mining pool. Okay, if that wasn't enough, you're going to have 10 bonus UTXO metrics, 10 bonus Bitcoin price metrics. You're going to get exclusive Founding 50 merch pack. So a Kerner Bitcoin sticker set, a branded Kerner Bitcoin coin, only 50 will be issued. You'll get early beta test access to any workbooks, any data drops moving forward. You guys will be the one and only members to get early access. You're also going to get a unique Founding 50 Discord badge and channel as well, as you can clearly see here. Founding 50 patrons, and for the solo mining pool, exclusive access to this channel only. No other member for our Patreon model will have access to these two channels, just you guys. Okay, you'll also get priority voting rights. You can shape the future path for Kerner Bitcoin, help us in our decisions moving forward. You'll also get your name on a wall of honor in the credits on our videos as a scrolling montage. So again, just incredible value for money here, guys. As it says, perks are a lifetime lockout. Hold them forever. No other Patreon member will ever get these. Again, sign up today, secure your spot for the Founding 50, and let's go on this journey together.